right. Who has a question?
I'll go first.
Go.
I don't know if Elliot told you, there was a woman bitten by a dog this morning in West Palm.
Where, do you?
I don't know, they just told me on the way in, I don't know where.
Yeah.
But they're interested in your opinion on leash laws. Are they necessary? Should they be enforced? Do we have one in West Palm?
Well, because I knew you were going to ask the question, I found out we do have leash laws in West Palm. And if your dog is on public property, you're supposed to have it leashed. So I think it's important that people know that. I'm not sure everybody realizes that, and it will be a good thing to share that with folks. But yeah, it's supposed to be on leashes.
And I don't know the circumstances of this particular one. I don't know if somebody was on private property or what happened, but should there be more enforcement, or how is this law enforced?
As I said, I don't know what happened, but we do have dog parks in the city, and if you want your dog to run around and be able to run around without a leash, you can take them to the dog park, and that's a good place to do that. But certainly, if you're out in public, it's really important to have them on a leash, and I'm sure that we watch it, to the extent that we enforce it. In terms of all the other things we have to do. I don't know how high on the priority list is, but it's something that we note, because we have in the past had to talk to people about keeping their dogs on a leash. So.
Good for me.
The new charter school, any idea come 2016 where that's going to be put as of yet?
Yeah, we are in the process of accumulating several properties on Broadway in the area of 26th and 27th Street. So our hope is that we put together, and we already own some of the properties, we want to get the rest on that block. So we hope that we'll be able to get those at a reasonable price, and looking at putting the charter school there.
So you're not looking at the 45th Street building in front of the flea market?
We never did.
Okay.
There was a private group, and I started to think about this because I heard you were going to ask me. I thought about it. There was a private group of people who wanted to put a charter school there. They did come and talk to me, and the city had nothing to do with it. They just came to tell me what they were thinking, but I have never heard back from them, so I don't really know where that is.
They wanted me to ask because they said someone that they felt was pretty reliable said that there were actual negotiations.
I wouldn't know it because it's a private property.
You didn't make any negotiations?
No, city is not involved in negotiating in any way, except for getting the flea market cleaned up. About a charter school there, no.
These properties at 26th, 27th, and Broadway, I know that's about where you did that presser, where you guys bought that one block. And so you've been kind of cagey as to what properties you wanted to buy because you didn't want to give away your leverage with buyers. But you're saying on the record now, you're looking at Broadway between 26 and 27. That's a very specific site.
I hope I got the numbers of the streets, but it is that area that we were. It might be 27th and 28th. I'm not sure exactly, but it's on Broadway in the high 20s.
Is that your only, that's not your only, that's your
We have other
top.
Possible options, but that's our top.
And
And the sellers already know we're interested, so I'm sure the price has gone up already.
what's the timetable?
As soon as possible.
Months, weeks?
Well, we're in the process of putting together an RFP for, well, first of all, we got to get our charter passed by the commission and the school board. We entering into a charter agreement with the school board. So we have particulars there to clarify the whole issue of governance and how we're going to govern the charter school. We have to bring that back to the commission, and that will have to be addressed through an ordinance. But once we get that clear, then we'll be going out for an RFP for an education service provider. Throughout this time, we're going to be negotiating for that land. So as soon as we can get it, I really can't tell you if it's going to be months or weeks, but I hope it's not months.
Is the deal that you have to get the provider before the property, or the property before the provider?
It'll be much better for us if we can put in the RFP where the property is, that we already have the property.
And I want to make sure here, how does this work? The school board gives you money towards the charter school. Does the city come out of pocket at all?
No, it's complicated. So there's money that follows each child. So as children move out of the public school into the charter school, money that would come to the public school from the state and tax dollars would follow that child. There's also, when you work with an education service provider, ESP, there's also provision, and this will be in our RFP, is that we have the land, but you have to build a facility. So, and then we lease the facility from them, or they lease the land from us, the other way around, I'm sorry. So the out-of-pocket expenses for building the facility come from the education service provider.
And if they go out of business or something happens, do you get the building?
Well, that's part of what we will be negotiating with whomever we decide.
And you were talking about 600 kids, and there's 5,000 students that are eligible. I think that's the number that was thrown out.
Well, ours will be 600 kids, and the way we're looking at it right now, although we don't have all the specifics to put together, is that any student who resides in West Palm Beach can apply to be in the charter school. Ultimately, it'll be a lottery. My hope is that we can have demographics that reflect the city of West Palm Beach. Right now, we're looking into the legality of that and seeing if we can include that in the charter. But it will be open to any city of West Palm resident.
But if you don't get enough kids, what happens?
If we don't get enough kids and we're above the break-even point, that will be okay. If we don't get enough kids and we're below the break-even point, we will allow other students to come in.
Okay, so one way or the other, you're going to fill the school,
Right.
basically. And what is the below the break-even point?
I can't
Is
tell
there
you.
a formula?
It's yeah.
Okay.
We have charts and graphs that show all of that. Any other questions?
I read in the post that with the tent site, they have narrowed it down in talking to one specific developer who wants to do something there. How did it get down to one so quickly?
Well, we had 2 people present at the commission CRA meeting on Monday, and the commission voted to talk with just one. My recommendation to the commission was to open it up and talk to whoever might be interested in the tent site. Competition is a good thing. And I would have liked to have seen an ITN published, but the commission decided to talk with just one. So.
Did they have the authority to do it that way?
Well, they voted, and the vote was 3-2.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. We're going to negotiate with this developer for 90 days, and we'll see what he comes up with. I hope that we don't settle for anything but at least market value for the tent site. I'm not, I want the money that we need to get for that tent site, and I want an iconic building. And I think certainly the renderings of the building that they presented were very, very interesting, very attractive. And so we'll see what happens.
But you feel that this site is pretty much destined to be a medical facility? It seems like that's what all the interest is?
That's where the interest was. I don't know, because we haven't, we put an RFP out a couple of years ago. We didn't get a lot of responses, but we're in a very different time than we were a couple of years ago. So it's really hard for me to know what kind of interest would be out there because we really haven't opened it up and said, come and bring us your ideas.
What about all the people that came to the meeting from St. Mary's and Good Sam that were concerned about not so much direct competition, but basically the way they explained it is the big ticket elective surgery is the sort of stuff where we make money that offsets when we lose money when we have to deal with an indigent patient. If all of that's going to go to this new medical arts center, we're going to be in a financial jam.
I think it's legitimate, their concerns. I happen to serve on the St. Mary's board, And I know how much money is spent on indigent care. I know that the areas that bring in money, let's just take, for example, Dror Paley, who is a world-renowned surgeon. They mentioned him at the meeting the other night. People come from all over the world to have their children seen by Dror Paley. Those are the kinds of things that really help medical centers, stay in the black. St. Mary's has an amazing stroke center. Some of the things that they're talking about doing here, I think, will take patients away from St. Mary's, Good Sam, the elective surgery, day surgery kinds of things where, it is a more lucrative situation. So it's concerning, and I think it's important to think about how to include them in this move forward on the tent site. How do we bring in the hospitals that are here? And Commissioner Mitchell made a good point about talking about bringing the hospitals together. I just don't know if that's going to actually happen.
Do you think you should have mentioned or disclosed your spot on the board?
I asked about that, and I asked about the attorney about that, and since I wasn't voting, they didn't feel like the disclosure was necessary.
But do you think maybe you should have just done that? I mean, you had no trouble doing it here.
Yeah, I would have had no trouble doing it there either.
Anything else?
Yeah, just as long as we're talking about the tent site, is this facility that's proposed the best fit for that property? Is the gateway to downtown?
I don't know. We'll see where we come down. I would have loved to seen a corporate headquarters there, with lots of jobs, something with a big sign that says corporate headquarters. But we'll see. We'll see where this goes.
Okay.
You're going to DC tomorrow?
I am.
To lobby about Olive Board and other things.
Mhm.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, we're going to meet with Secretary Fox, the Secretary of Transportation, to talk to him about the Tiger Grant that we applied for with Broward County and Palm Beach County, and try and convince him that it would really be a good idea to fund the Tiger Grant. We asked for $20 million. And we have 35 crossings that would qualify for a quiet zone, and the Tiger Grant is to address quiet zones. So we'll be talking with them about that. I'll also be meeting with our congressional delegation. We have applied for a grant through the Department of Health for a program with our Parks and Rec and Health Department and the Police Department to do health and wellness with teens through our Youth Empowerment Center. So we'll be talking with them about that. And I'll also be talking to a couple of the environmental agencies about the MPO's recent vote to request an environmental impact statement for State Road 7 from the Highway Authority. So I'll be meeting with Fish and Wildlife and Council for Environmental Quality, I think.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
That's it.
Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you.